Okay, Golan, you are live now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Golan Bitton from Univo, from Israel, and I want to make a quick view about the Israeli market and the European market and the export and the import between the countries. First of all, I want to say that Israel is one of the biggest medical cannabis industries in the world, and it's one of the biggest market that we have right now. And I want to make a quick overview about all what we've done in the last 3 years here. First of all, we're talking about the plant have three families and three base strain: indica, sativa, and hemp. Of course, the sativa is different from the indica, and it's but the same are, are acting like a cannabis. It's not like the CBD products. The CBD products are actually coming from hemp, and it's between 0.2 or 0.3 percentage of THC. This is what allowed to be as a CBD product. It's a different market. It's different products. We're not talking about this. We're not actually playing in this kind of area because we are not only a CBD product. We are including the THC and including the all cannabis plant, the all spectrum. As you actually see, most of North America, USA, now Middle of America, Panama, and Europe are actually penetrate to these markets in the last season. And in the last 4 years, you can see a lot of countries that actually giving up the barriers that we can go through export and import between the countries. Actually, in the USA, there is no market. There is no export and import between the states. So you cannot actually play in this market. It's a huge market, including the CBD, including the THC, and including the medical cannabis, and of course the recreational cannabis. But we are talking about Australia, that they have their own regulation, and the European market. The cannabis EU products volumes in percentage break down to be country of the production. As you can see in this graph, Canada is mostly one of the biggest players in Europe right now, because Canada regulations allow only to export, not allowed to import. There is a huge market in Canada. There is a lot of players. There is a lot of strain, indoors farms and manufacturers. The most market is in Europe because they cannot export and import to USA, including the Netherlands. The Netherlands are actually one of the, I can say, the biggest one, and the only one is Bedrocon, the only company. It's regulated by the states, by the Netherlands, the government, and they are allowed to export and import from Netherlands to Europe, including Italy. The cannabis EU production volumes, the total market in the last 2020, the whole market in Europe is actually the conclusions is between 8.2 tons. We're talking about something like 5 million people, and you can see that the demand is so high, but the regulation barriers are not allowed to people to use this, or actually to get to these products very easy. Why? Because any regulations has its own barrier and has its own I can say process that they want to make through. But this is very, very important because, as you can see in Israel, one of the biggest market in Europe, we're talking about the estimated volumes are 2 times or 3 times more. You can see the cannabis industry in Europe. Actually, we're talking about the market. In Germany, the estimated of per gram is 20 euro per gram. In Italy, is 18 euro per gram. In Netherlands, is 6.15 euro per gram. And you can see that the estimated biggest market is Germany. Germany, we're talking about 57 million euros per 2020. It's a huge market. It's one of the biggest right now because the regulations there is, I can say, very comfortable to the user, and they are going very easy with the patients. They have their own use. In Italy, who's control the regulation there is the army in the cannabis industry. In Netherlands, who the control of the regulation is Bedrocon. They are subject to the country, and of course there is some kind of small countries that's actually going right now, like Poland, like Ukraine, and of course the most players like Russia. They are not actually in the game right now. As you can see, if we take Israel as a case study market, you can see that in 2020, we sold in Israel 28 tons in all Israel. We are talking about 9 million people. In 9 million people, we have right now 80,000 patients. 80,000 patients actually demands like 35 grams per patient in a month. If you can see the numbers, we're talking about a huge market in a very small population. It's really important because we see what are what are going to be the volumes in Europe in those kind of numbers. The cannabis flowers sales value breakdown by country. If you can see, if you can see in Israel right now, the market is something like 80 million euros per year. It's huge. It's 2 times from Europe, and we are only 9 million people. So now, what we take as a case study in Israel, we see that actually the volumes are going to be increased in Europe, because if you're talking about only 9 million people right now, let's see the measures and let's see what is going to be in the next 2 or 3 years from now, in huge population like UK, like Germany, and like Italy. Why Israel? Israel is a startup nation. As you see, the regulation here is called the ACAR. They make some kind of section and under the Ministry of Health, and they use their own regulation. They use their own standards. It's called the GAP standard and the GMP standard. It's called the IMC GMP standard. We can go through clinical trials in Israel in a short process, and we have a huge database. Israel is one of the first player that started to treat patients in cannabis in 1996. Israel and California was the first country that started this kind of innovation treatment, and the whole world follow up in 2012 and 2015, and this is what makes us with the huge database that we can use right now to see what kind of illness or what kind of medication we use to one kind of indication. This is very, very important for the Israeli industry and of course for the Israeli database. From farm to pharma, the Israeli Ministry of Health actually makes some kind of process, some kind of value chain from the R&D to develop strain and genetics, to go through growing and the right varieties for the right products, the manufacturing in the GMP standards, and the marketing, distribution. All entity is independent entity, and every entities have to go only forward. They cannot go backwards. So from the manufacturer, you cannot bring it back or cancel it or cancel the process. So this is only the only way to get to the medical cannabis products under the Ministry of Health. The Israeli certification process. The IMC GMP is a good agricultural practice. The IMC GMP is a good manufacturing process, and the IMC GMP is a good distribution practice. We have all approval by those all standards, all 3 standards. This is why we control the whole value chain and we control the whole process. This is make us in Univo a lot of flexibility, and we can be independent through our patients and through our market, and of course we go out now to other markets. So it's very important to our customers to get the right varieties in the right time. This is what makes Univo so unique. The market drivers increase unacceptable for drivers' medical indications. We can see that the increasable up in the volumes of the patients from 25 to 35, from 35 to 65 patients per year. It's huge. This is why a lot of new patients are adopt the medical cannabis as a treatment. They are actually want to try a new treatment. It's a natural treatment. So all the worlds are getting in this process. We see there is a new drivers and there is a new users. If there was 2 years ago only from 18 to 35, now we can see from 35 to 45 patients more likely to consume multiple times per week. The consumer is consume it more likely 10 times or 2 times or 3 times per week, not as before they was using it 1 time. The conservatives experiment is more likely to have maximum education of university or graded schools. We can see more students and more new. I cannot call everybody's patient, but they use it is even if it's for the great feeling, or even if they take it to increase the pain. Company structure holding. Univo actually hold Univo Distributions, Univo Medicine as a manufacturer, and of course we have our own farm. It's one of the most biggest farms in Israel, and including the R&D part and the manufacturing. Univo is the fully integrated from seed to sell, as I show in the last slide, from other R&D to the farming to the manufacturing, and of course to the marketing and distributions. We have our own strain, we have our own new products, including oils from 2 kinds of methods, 2 kinds of extractions, ethanol and CO2 extraction. It's a different method, it's a different product. So we have the all full variety of product to all kinds of indications. And of course, the innovation and the IP and the future products are including this new oil for the HDHD, oral gels, suppositories for colitis and stomach disease, the cream for skin lesion and skin allergy, the oral gel for oral cavities, and of course, all kinds of methods that is under innovations in our R&D in the manufacturing. That's it, guys. That's it. I hope you can see the quick overview in the Israeli market and, of course, the European market, why there is export and import between the countries. And I hope you can get a quick overview what's going on in Israel and what we are estimated in Europe. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Golan. It was a very insightful session. I'm really impressed by the knowledge that you delivered during this session. And it was really interesting to see that Univo is offering such a wide range of medical cannabis products. So thank you so much. I request the audience to please go ahead and ask any questions they have. We have Golan here with us. Thank you so much. Okay, so next presenter is Constance Ned. He's working as the Director of Strategic Partnership at ISCE, and he will be delivering his presentation on the future of supply chain management at 11.